Yeah?
I forgot who Charlie Brown was, but I remember what he said. When are we going to have lunch?
You're hungry for lunch now?
If it's convenient for you.
Sure. I can make you lunch.
Where'd you learn to cook?
The internet.
Is that a fact?
Mm-hmm.
I told you how my father was a good cook,
Mm-hmm.
and how Charlie learned to cook from him,
Mm-hmm.
and how when my father was living on Penn Drive and he was sick, I used to go over there and take care of him. I'm a natural-born nurse, you know. And then I decided, why should I go there? Why doesn't he come live with me here? So he did come. And I remember him saying with surprise on a couple occasions, "You're getting to be a good cook." And one time he says, I didn't like it. He pushed his empty plate away from him.
He ate all of it and said, I didn't like it.
My father, he was remarkable. I think Swan wrote about him. I think I put together a book about Max Karp, God Bless America.
Do you remember anything that wasn't in that book? Anything that didn't make it to that book?
I don't know what did and what didn't. I suppose I should read it and then see. I know he used to, this probably didn't. He used to say the truth is the best lie.
I think that was in there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And he would say, take what you want, but eat what you take.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably there too then. And he used to say, I remember the truth is the best lie when a guy came to his place of business, he was in the produce business, wholesale. Max, are the peaches sweet? And Max would say, taste them. If he didn't think they were, you know. But he never lied. And if he couldn't pay his bills on time, he said they never called the sheriff or anything because they knew he would always tell the truth. And if he didn't have it, he didn't have it. And I remember one time, was that in that book? And was this in the book? When he used it, my mother once said, well, you always were your father's favorite. That's probably not in the book. It is in the book?
I don't know.
No. And because I wouldn't want, you know, if my sisters read it. And one time I remember when he took me with him on his horse and wagon, and he used to deliver milk in those days. He used to run up and down the stairs, and I would wait for him on the seat next to him. And one time I wasn't with him, but it was storming that night. I told you that one. Yeah.
No, it was storming out, and what happened?
And he couldn't find a way home, so he dropped the reins and the horses took him home. And I told you about...
Was that in Hartford?
Yeah, because I was born in Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
You know why we moved to West Hartford?
Why is that?
When my sister Faye was younger than Justice, she was learning to walk, and the way she would walk is she'd hold on to a chair and push it across the floor. So the neighbor downstairs didn't like it, and he would knock up with the broom, and it would scare her. So my father complained to the owner of the apartment house. It was a 2 or 3 family house. And the guy says, if you don't like it, move. You don't say that twice to my father. So he came to West Hartford, and he found this place where the taxes were lower. And we moved to 33 Fairfax Avenue. That was off of Park Road.
So you moved from Irving Street to Fairfax Avenue. And
I used to go to Seymour Avenue School. They now call it the Smith School, I think.
Do you remember when Hartford was no longer Jewish? Do you remember when that occurred?
What do you mean? What do you mean by? You mean when it turned everybody mostly blacks?
Yeah. Because when you were born, Hartford was.
I lived on Irving Street.
Eastern European Jews.
I don't know. But I remember when we moved to West Hartford, there was a lot of. I told you this probably. There was a lot of prejudice against Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I told you that.
Why?
Why? Who knows? Because didn't believe in Jesus. Who knows why? But there was so much prejudice that Travelers Insurance Company would not hire Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I told you that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we wanted to build a house. We wanted to build it near the Sedgwick School.
Mm-hmm.
And my father knew that there was a lot of, what's the word for discrimination against Jewish?
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't live in
Anti-Semitism.
certain- What?
Anti-Semitism.
Yeah, well, what I meant was they couldn't live in certain parts of the
Mm-hmm.
town. And my father knew that we couldn't live there, but my father never acknowledged anti-Semitism. He couldn't stand it, people who used that as an excuse, you know.
Mm.
So he kept telling us about this place that was near him and blah, blah, blah. And so Charlie or Lenny, I guess must have been Lenny, went and put a deposit on this property. And I knew that, you know, Lenny, they couldn't tell that Lenny was a Jew, but you could tell I was. So I said to Lenny, I think I better go and meet the guy.
Mm.
The guy didn't own it. He was the representative for the mayor of West Hartford, if you could believe this.
Mm.
And so we went, and then he realized I was a Jew. And as he's signing, I see his hand wavering.
Mm.
And as we're going down the steps to leave the building, he says, you know, there's... Oh, he keeps telling us about this wonderful lot right next door to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And as we're going down the stairs, he says to leave, you know, there are certain restrictions. And Lenny, who I had already told him, said, what do you mean, like size of house or something like that? And the guy said, yeah, he didn't have the nerve. And then we get home, and he calls me up, and he says, oh, you can't build a one-story house or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, is this a one-story too? This is a two-story.
Mm-hmm.
So it couldn't have been this. So I said, all right, tell him we'll build a two-story. So he did. Then he calls me back and he says, I can't sell you the house. And I told you the mayor of West Hartford owned it. And that was the time with the American Civil Liberties Union. I could have made trouble.
Mm.
But I just so disgusted. I said, just send me my money back.
And that would have been the early to mid 40s, right before my mother was born, like around World War II. No.
I don't know.
So why could people tell that you were a Jew, but they couldn't tell that Lenny was a Jew?
By our faces, obviously. How else? Not by the way we talk.
Are you sure?
What do you mean, are you sure?
Is there not a Jewish way of talking? Or
Please,
arguing?
What do you think?
Well, I think you have to some extent, a very Jewish presentation about your...
No, it was the looks. It was the looks.
So it's your facial features as distinct from Lenny's. Okay. Do you think there is such a thing as Jewish behavior or Jewish beliefs, Jewish philosophy?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I always thought, I remember that when I first discovered that there were Jewish criminals, I couldn't believe it. Who were they?
Bugsy Siegel, Meyer
Bugsy.
Lansky.
I remember Bugsy Siegel, and I remember the word Meyer Lansky, but I can't remember what it was about him. And the Jews gave the concept of a day of rest at the end of the week to the rest of the world. You knew that?